Hello, my name is Louis Mirandola, and this is my Week 2 assignment, Ecological Framework Model. So, for my model, I chose coral reefs, and on the left you will see the environmental or ecological factors, and on the right you will see the human or anthropogenic factors. Underneath the environmental factors, we have ocean acidification, weather, and habitat loss. And in the human column, we have overfishing, destructive fishing practices, pollution, and climate change. Now, on this model, you can see that I have drawn some arrows connecting various topics to one another. For example, overfishing, destructive fishing practices, and pollution all contribute to habitat loss. And ocean acidification and climate change connect with each other. Therefore, I used a open-ended or a double-ended arrow. So, how all these topics connect to the biodiversity loss that we find in coral reefs is as follows. Ocean acidification is a driving factor in the loss of coral reefs for several reasons. One, that it is caused not only by climate change, although that is the largest reason, it is also caused by pollution. Basically, the ocean absorbs 30% of all carbon that is in the atmosphere. And coral reefs absorb roughly 70 to 90 megatons of that carbon. Carbon dioxide specifically affects coral reefs that's main purpose is to build coral reefs because it lessens the ability of coral reefs to grow their exoskeletons, which then connects to extreme weather, because when the coral reef skeletons are not as sturdy as they could be in a healthy environment, extreme weather such as storms and large waves can erode at the coastline and destroy both coastal communities and the reefs themselves. And when reefs get destroyed, this leads into habitat loss. And habitat loss can mean catastrophic things for an entire ocean community that focuses on getting their supplies from these coral reefs. In these communities, sometimes overfishing and destructive fishing practices are put into play, and these both can be destructive to habitats, because there's this one practice for destructive fishing practices known as blast fishing, or fish bombing as it's more crudely called. And blast fishing really does a lot of damage to any fish within any sort of structure or organism within the blast radius. And overfishing, some of the practices that are used for overfishing are called trawling, and trawling is another horrible method that needs to be reassessed somehow, because during trawling, some of the equipment that they use is drug along the ocean floor, and whatever is in its way gets destroyed and flattened. The other types of anthropogenic factors that contribute to biodiversity loss are pollution. Pollution suffocates the coral. We all usually think about plastic bottles floating in the ocean when we think about pollution, but it can also be caused by sediment and nutrients. When sediment, there's too much sediment in the surrounding water, we call it sedimentation, which then smothers the reef of light and robs the photosynthesizing organisms from the sunlight that they need in order to produce oxygen. And when there's an overabundance of nutrients, um, it leads to a growth of unhealthy algae, which rob the water of oxygen, which also suffocates the reef. And then the largest um, factor in biodiversity loss is coral reefs. And in coral reefs is known as climate change. We've all heard about climate change. This is like I said before, this is the main factor in coral bleaching. And when the ocean's temperatures rise just 2 degrees, it can kick off the process. And when coral bleaching takes hold of a reef, very, very few to no reef is ever able to jump back. So, and that has been my presentation. Thank you.